No. Come on. The Bible said the Israelites will be scattered around the world.
Right.
I really will ask you'd move away from this thing that, oh, we were slaves. We were all slaves from the time we were taking, the Assyrians came in, the Babylonians came in. I mean, Africans have to do things to survive. Africans have to put tribal terrible marks on their faces. Because there was a time when the Arabs were raiding us and capturing our women to sell into slavery. They had to mark their faces and make their women as ugly as possible.
Oh.
So people leave them alone. You have Africans putting some nasty thing in their mouth and looking as ugly as possible. They were doing all these things to protect themselves. So it's not only slavery. We've been suffering for 3,000 years.
I know.
When you focus on slavery, you are ignoring all the suffering.
I know, but like I say, in Deuteronomy, I always get that wrong.
Yeah, don't worry.
It's like 28, and it talks about, Yah said that we will be, worshipping mighty gods like stone and everything.
Yes, but let me stop you there. Yeah. Where is that happening?
Where it's happening?
It's not happening in the West. It's happening in Africa.
Yeah, most in Africa.
So if there is the African who will use those words to say his son. I explain this to people all the time that a black American or a Caribbean cannot use Deuteronomy 28 to prove he's a Hebrew. To prove you're a Hebrew, you go back to Africa. Because all those things in Deuteronomy are happening to the Africans. There's the bulk of the Israelites are in Africa. There's over nearly 300, 500 million of them over there. And when you look on the news and you see all the suffering, you are looking at the Israelites, the Hebrews. And
also over here as well, isn't it? Because the curses, right? They said that we got the most illness. We're ill-stricken people.
Because we are one people.
Yes.
We are one people. But the problem is because we don't know who we are, we separate ourselves. Like you say, we suffer slavery. And I just went there and said to you, no, we also suffer. You see, that's your suffering. God didn't put all the suffering in one basket.
I know, he put
this suffering on that person, that suffering on that person, your suffering may be, okay, your ancestors went through that, which were my direct relatives. Okay, but you are still suffering. I'm not moving away from that because I live here and I see all the shocking things blacks are doing to blacks, and it is very, very saddening. Right. Okay, and then when you go to Africa, you see the suffering in another way. Another way. So we are all suffering. But what we need to do now is to now recognize that we are the Ebe, a.k.a. the Hebrews, and start to come together as one and work towards our salvation. Yeah, but not that you pull here and I pull there. No, that way we are not going to save ourselves.
Yeah, but the old prophecies, that's coming back together as one. And one of the first things we look at identity, in which the prophecies in Deuteronomy that, you'll have your wife and another man will sleep with her. You have all these things. You should be a byword in the nation.
Exactly.
I mean, like Jamaican and anyway. Back to slavery in ship, because you don't need ship to go to Egypt.
Can I cut in there? That is something, a prophecy that I have seen being used, and I feel it is time it is explained.
Right.
That prophecy that says you will be taken back to Egypt in ships. It says Egypt.
Right.
It says Egypt and in ships.
Yes.
If you read the Josephus account, he did confirm that when Jerusalem fell to the Romans, Titus, the refugees or the people, the prisoners of war, they put them in ships and transferred them to the mines in Egypt.
Okay.
So that prophecy was fulfilled 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, but we know prophecy is double barrel. Okay?
No, but the point is the prophecy mentioned Egypt and in ships.
Well, Egypt also mean bondage as well.
Yes.
So. You see, my point is that I'm focusing directly on the direct prophecy.
Right.
The direct prophecy is that Josephus said it happened. Right. But the thing to do with slavery, when God said he was going to scatter the Israelites, it wasn't going to be a picnic. People would not voluntarily get up and go and be scattering themselves around the world. It was going to be done by force.
Yes.
So that's where the scattering, that word, I'll scatter you around the world.
Yes.
That's what was the slavery and everything. But that didn't happen just in our recently. It's been happening throughout the history of the Hebrews. You see, when they were taken into captivity by the Assyrians, it was by force.
Yes,
when they were taken into captivity by the Babylonians, it was by force.
Yeah, but even so, I mean, it's happened to us according to that scripture as well, so we can identify with that scripture as well. But another thing you find that is a lot of people, they look about, all right, you know that you're a Hebrew. Have you got a lot of backlash from that, from the other nation, knowing that you're Hebrew and you said you are the chosen people, so therefore shut your mouth, you know what I mean?
Okay, let's get this right. The chosen people is because of God's arrangement for this earth.
That's right.
Okay, God's arrangement for this earth is, look, we're never going to see God. Jesus made that very clear. Even Adam, in his pure form, never saw God. Okay, God owns the universe. He doesn't, we are just part of his creation. So what he does is that whatever he's got arrangements of how that place is going to be managed. And so he chose the children of Abraham. Do you see? Which are the Hebrews. To be the priests and kings to manage this earth.
Right.
So he went into an arrangement with them.
Right.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, there was a situation in the Garden of Eden where there's two groups of people on this earth. The children of the devil, or the serpent, and the children of the woman. And this backlash is going to happen because the children of the serpent are not going to be very happy to see the Hebrews try to come back. Because by coming back, it means they're going to become the head.
Yeah, I want to hear from your mouth, and in a sense that you mentioned the other lost tribe in your book.
Yes.
And you've done research into that, and where they might be today.
Yes. Finding the lost tribes is not very hard if you can find the original Hebrews.
Right.
Do you see? Say, with the original Hebrews, there's things that they know. Their traditions, their language. Once you find the original Hebrews, you can look at the things they do and start looking at other people around the world. And if you see similarities, you start to know that, okay, these people could also be the Hebrews. And that will be the first step. Then you go and check their history.
Some people might ask, how do we know we are Caribbean, that we are Hebrews? How do we know that?
Because I know who you are. I know who you are. Like I said, by knowing who the Hebrews are,
yes,
you can tell who the other Hebrews are around the world. Right. Because I am Ever, okay, and I know you were taken from us. I know exactly who you are. Yeah. You can swear blind that you are not related to me, but I'll just laugh at you. I'm not related to you. I'll just laugh at you. I'll say, go and check your history.
Okay. I've got another question to answer for you. Yes. The Caribbean are suspicious of the Africans, okay, as you know. And the Africans are suspicious of the Caribbean.
Yes.
And they call us children of slaves and so forth. And we know that Jamaicans got a bad reputation as they are. You know, we're a bit outspoken,
stiff necks.
Stiff necks. I mean, that's part of our Hebrew culture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, don't we think that's something that we need to change, the whole precepts of that kind of attitude, changing towards each other, so that we'll come together as one, because we are supposed to come back together as one. Because
do you know what I think?
I think she's got this point.
I'm always saying, I think Yar's got this one for us. Yeah, I always look on what Bob Marley said: one love and one heart. Yeah, so once we start to love ourselves and know that who we are, then it will come. It will come naturally. Like all of a sudden, we start when they start eating pork.
Yeah, I'll stop that. Yeah. And
can I specifically address what you mentioned about this suspicion of between Africans and people of the Caribbean and vice versa? I've always tried to explain to Black Americans and people from the Caribbean, because my wife is from the Caribbean, and so I know exactly where people from the Caribbean are coming from. I've been with them for the last 28 years. And I always try to explain that